Hello everyone! Today we're going to be diving into 2022's highly anticipated boxing match between YouTuber turned boxer Logan Paul and the former heavyweight champion of the world Mike Tyson. We will be looking at things we know about both Mike Tyson's and Logan Paul's boxing history, as well as general facts about the fight. Without further ado, let's get ready to rumble. So, when will the fight happen? All we know about this fight as of this recording is that it's going to take place sometime in 2022. Nothing has been confirmed, however. It appears that February of 2022 is the preferred date for this exhibitionary bout between the two. The venue in which the bout will take place has also not been confirmed, but I don't think that's what fans are here to see. This fight is the fight that will make or break Logan Paul's career. If he wins, it will be difficult for anyone to say that he is not a legitimate boxer. Defeating one of the legends of the sport is not nothing, regardless of Tyson's advanced age, although that tag will likely be on the fight regardless of the victor. With that said, let's take a look at who Logan Paul has faced so far in boxing. Paul's boxing career. So far, Logan Paul has fought 3 fights if you include both his amateur and professional fights, and a 4th fight if you include his fight with common decency and being a good person, which he is ultimately losing, but I digress. His first fight was an amateur bout against British YouTube star KSI, who challenged Paul in 2018. The fight was officially announced on February 24th of 2018 that both Logan Paul and his younger brother Jake Paul would be fighting in 2 white-collar fights. The fight ended in a split decision from 2 judges scoring the fight even at 57-57, with the 3rd judge calling KSI the winner, scoring the match 58-57. Paul's second fight was his first professional fight, and it was a rematch against KSI, being called KSI vs. Logan Paul 2. Of course, in proper Logan Paul fashion, Paul stirred the pot prior to the fight, throwing some controversial comments at KSI about his history with abortions, also commenting that he was going to return the favor and kill him. That of course was not the case, as not only did Paul not kill KSI, Paul lost the rematch in split decision once again, with 2 judges scoring in favor of KSI with scores of 57-54 and 56-55 respectively. On the bright side for Paul, the 3rd judge did score in his favor with a score of 56-55. Paul's 3rd bout is also his most infamous, as he took on Floyd Money Mayweather at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida on June 6, 2021. The fight was originally announced on December 6, 2020 and was scheduled to take place on February 20, 2020, but was postponed. This bout was also born in controversy, as the first time Paul and Mayweather met for the pre-fight press conference at the Hard Rock Stadium, Jake Paul put a classic Paul brother spin on the supposedly professional event by stealing Mayweather's hat clean off of his head. This sent Mayweather and his camp into a frenzy against Jake Paul, with verbal shots being exchanged from both sides. The actual fight, however, was a very different story, as almost no shots were thrown by either side. Paul spent most of the fight clenching onto Mayweather in an attempt to avoid being punched by the undefeated boxer, while Mayweather spent little time attempting to punch the boxing wannabe in the first place. The match was met with booing from the fans in attendance and critical backlash from boxing critics and fans, as many felt the fight was just for money and an embarrassment to boxing. In the end, the fight was called with no winner. This leaves Paul's pro boxing record at 0 wins, 1 loss, and no knockouts. Tyson, on the other hand, has had many wins and many knockouts. Let's transition over and look at the tremendous career of the baddest man on the planet, Mike Tyson's time in boxing. When you are universally known as the baddest man on the planet, people don't tend to mess with you. That is a nickname earned, not given, and Tyson definitely has the boxing prowess to back the name up. Mike Tyson has many fists under his belt. Get it? Belt? Because boxing? I know you laughed. Anyway, Tyson was the first boxer in history to possess all 3 of the boxing organization belts as the undisputed champion at the same time: the World Boxing Association, WBA, the World Boxing Council, WBC, and the International Boxing Federation, IBF. Tyson was also the first boxer in history to be the heavyweight champion of the world while being younger than 20 years and 5 months old. Tyson's boxing accolades do not stop there either. Tyson had a long history of knockouts in his career, including his technical knockout, TKO, against Jesse Ferguson in his first ever televised fight. Tyson would string together 6 more knockouts leading up to one of his most famous knockouts ever, his knockout of former world challenger Marvis Frazier. Tyson wasted no time as he came charging out of the gate immediately following the sounding of the opening bell. Tyson needed no more than 30 seconds to dominate Frazier and left him unconscious in the ring. Tyson's performance against Frazier earned him his first ever title fight against belt holder Trevor Berbick on November 22, 1986, with a TKO in the 2nd round of the fight. Mike Tyson was on top of the boxing world for quite some time, until what was to become known as one of the craziest upsets of all time. In a fight between Tyson and Buster Douglas, Tyson was set by the Las Vegas odds markers to be the 42-1 favorite. However, Tyson ended up losing in the 10th round by knockout. This sent Tyson's personal and professional life into disarray, eventually seeing Tyson be sent to prison. When Tyson was paroled from prison, he had a few comeback fights in which he won with relative ease. However, on November 9, 1996, Tyson would face his most famous opponent to date, Evander Holyfield. In the first match, Holyfield was virtually assumed the loser by many fans and commenters prior to the fight. However, Holyfield pulled off what many would have called the impossible by defeating Tyson in the 11th round by a TKO. The victory will forever be tainted by numerous headbutting incidents that Holyfield was accused of. Later in 1997, on June 28th, Holyfield would fight Tyson again, and in that fight, the most famous event in boxing history was born. Tyson became the only fighter in a heavyweight title match to be disqualified in 50 years when he bit Evander Holyfield's ears. That's right, I said ears, plural. Tyson bit right through Holyfield's right ear, and he also bit his left ear earlier in the fight, eventually resulting in his disqualification. Tyson's boxing career loses much of its excitement after the matches with Holyfield. However, it is hopefully about to get much more exciting again, with the legends hopefully return to the ring in early 2022. What are your thoughts surrounding the fight? Well, right now, the fight is still not technically confirmed. It is still just speculated. Many fans of the sport are not huge fans of Paul's money fights, and many people in general are not huge fans of Paul's prior antics in his YouTube life and social media life. So what does this mean? It looks like, love it or hate it, the fight is gonna happen. Both sides have expressed interest with all the media attention and money it will render for both parties involved. Tyson has even come out and said that he is going to flatline Logan Paul. However, most people cannot help but feel like this is a rigged fight from the start. Paul is decades younger than Tyson, and Paul, whether you think he's a good fighter or not, is in impeccable shape and should have the upper hand regardless of Tyson's record book. Tyson may have won 50 wins, with 44 of them coming from knockout and only 6 losses, but Tyson hasn't hit the ring for a fight with a 26-year-old in quite some time. It is hard not to look at this fight and not see anything other than two money-hungry guys willing to put on a $100 million show with no care for the outcome. So much so that some people in the boxing world are hoping that the fight gets canceled and does not happen at all. Eddie Hearn, a promoter for boxing matches, said that he wishes the fight would get called an absolute load of bollocks. He did also say that he hopes the fight doesn't happen, but he would like to know the result. As he said, "I would like to at least want to find out what happened in that fight." With that being said, will I be purchasing pay-per-view tickets when they become available? Yes, I will. Will I be cheering for a 55-year-old man to absolutely pummel a 26-year-old boxer wannabe man-child? Oh, heck yes. And that's all we have today. Do you want to see Paul versus Tyson? If so, who do you want to win? If not, why not? Let us know in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video.